Welcome to this YouTube channel. This is a brief story of one of secret assassination done with the most deadliest substance known to mankind. Substance used in this assassination was not and can't be detected or traced by majority of countries in the world, and only major superpowers know how to produce this substance. Let's see how most lethal substance got transported to UK and injected to one of KGB double agent Alexander Litvinenko. So before starting this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. Alexander Litvinenko was a former FSB and KGB officer. He was one of staunchest critics of President Putin's policies highlight mode of operation with evidence. After criticizing the Russian government's corruption, he escaped to the UK, where he remained a prominent critic of President Vladimir Putin and the Russian government for their actions in Chechnya. Story began after Litvinenko met Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun. They were old colleague of him and ex-KGB officers, earlier that day at the Millennium Hotel's Pine Bar, London. Both of those person had came from Russia, and UK authorities believe they brought position with them, but it was not detected in airport or anywhere else. But how? Let's follow the series of actions. Litvinenko began vomiting and eventually had bloody diarrhea. On November 1, he needed help walking at one time. Litvinenko requested his wife to call an ambulance as his discomfort increased. On November 3. He was hospitalized as health condition deteriorated, but strange things for doctors was that all of his blood and urine tests were fine. Those tests are routine tests and mostly done by all doctors across world as standard procedure. For doctors spending hours of relentless effort to find the disease, there was nothing concluded, but health condition was getting severely bad. Litvinenko's condition deteriorated for weeks while physicians sought a cure. Surrounded by friends, Litvinenko grew weak and unconscious. Now it was the time to Litvinenko to help start diagnosis himself and take things on his hand whatever he can. On deathbed, Litvinenko told doctors that he thought President Putin had ordered his assassination, but question remains how, as all medical tests were fine, and it seems his blood and urine chemical composition stayed very much intact. Soviet Union had built numerous atomic weapons and had toxic labs, and they were and still are one of the most lethal weapon development source in the world. Now doctors and authorities started thinking the mode of operation in previous assassination by Russian-based groups, which led to decision to move him to Barnet Hospital in North London with gastroenteritis on November 3, 2006. After being admitted to University College Hospital in central London for acute care, he further revealed his true identity and claimed to have been poisoned. So he, being a secret source of Russia in the past, knows what could have happened to him. This shows the lethality and secrecy of poison. His blood and urine were then transferred to the UK's Atomic Weapons Establishment, AWE, for gamma spectroscopy testing for radioactive toxicity. Initially, no gamma rays were identified, then a slight spike at 803 keV was recorded, barely visible above the background. This is shocking, and only UK, US, France, Israel and US have capability to go for further analysis from this point. This minor spike was accidentally overheard by a scientist who had worked on the UK's early atomic bomb program decades previously and recognized it as the gamma-ray signal from the radioactive decay of polonium-210, a vital component of early nuclear bombs. Shortly before his death on November 22, his doctors learned the toxin was likely polonium-210. Alpha and gamma rays are emitted from radioactive substance, and their life to decay to half is controlled with numerous techniques. All emission starts on decay points. In Litvinenko case, half-life was so precisely controlled that once substance decayed to half and emitted gamma rays, it would have been made enough to kill the victim before next half-life cycle, and strength of radiation are made so low that it barely gets detected by gamma spectroscopy. It was an eye of necular scientist who pointed to minor spike and concluded the nature of position. Further examinations on a bigger urine sample next day using alpha particle spectroscopy verified the result. Unlike most typical radiation sources, polonium-210 releases small amount gamma radiation with quite low intensity, as motive is to stay potent and same time undetectable. In addition to this, a lot of alpha particles that don't penetrate even paper or human skin, making it opaque to common radiation detectors. This explained why doctors and police's Geiger counter examinations at the hospital were negative. Gamma rays and alpha particles are both ionizing radiation that can cause damage. A short-range weapon, an alpha-emitting chemical can cause serious damage only if consumed or breathed. Litvinenko was also tested positive for alpha emitters hours before his death. The UK's Health Protection Agency said shortly after Litvinenko's death that tests revealed he had high levels of the radionuclide polonium-210 Pa. Officials from both the UK and the US indicated this was the first time 210 Pa had been used as a poison and probably the first time anyone had been tested for it. Litvinenko's had tea with KGC colleagues having poison on it. Those who came in contact with Litvinenko may have been irradiated. Litvinenko's symptoms matched an administered activity of roughly about 10 micrograms of 210 Pa. Uncertainty of doctors about poisonous substance. Initial hypothesis was about thallium poisoning. Early tests appeared to confirm the poison's presence. Hair loss and peripheral nerve damage are among the effects of thallium poisoning, and a photograph of Litvinenko in hospital released to the media showed him with thinning hair. Sufficiency of oxygen and quick medical attention were credited to Litvinenko's initial. Later, it was suggested Litvinenko was poisoned with a radioactive thallium isotope. Dr. Amit Nathwani said Litvinenko's symptoms were slightly odd for thallium poisoning and the chemical levels of thallium found were slightly odd for thallium poisoning. Litvinenko's condition worsened and he was admitted to ICU on November 20. An X-ray scan revealed 3 unidentified circular objects in his stomach hours before his death. These were almost certainly Prussian blue shadows from his thallium poisoning treatment. The autopsy took place on December 1. Ilya Litvinenko ate radioactive polonium-210. Doctors told that the body had 5 times the deadly amount of polonium-210. Litvinenko was buried in Highgate Cemetery in North London after his burial on December 7. Some experts believe that British authorities were failed to identify the substance and sought help from French authorities who helped them to find the detail about half-life and physical composition of radioactive substance. There was voice from Russia authorities about French government help in this regard. Due to assassination on British soil and after detailed investigation, there was serious diplomatic difficulties between Russia and UK. UK government accused Russian government direct involvement in this assassination and described motive was to set an example for any traitor or double agent working against the state of Russia. In September 2021, the European Court of Human Rights found Russia must pay for instigated and mastermind Litvinenko's murder and fined it €100,000 plus €22,500 in fees. Around 140 days half-life with very minimum gamma emission makes nearly impossible for this substance to get detected easily, therefore it was employed in high-profile assassination. Since this assassination, airports have spatial radioactive test for every traveler in the world, which has basically affected every single person traveling across world. What do you think about this video? If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.